times too, so you will hear it. You will hear it at times. Shabbat shalom, everyone. Hector, if there's a way to have me on gallery view, so you will hear it. You will hear it at times. Shabbat shalom, everyone. Great. Hector, if there's a way to have me on gallery view. Do we know why that's happening, Hector? Shabbat shalom. Am I repeating myself? No, I seem to. Okay. This is all still very new, so we are figuring things out as we go. Shabbat shalom to Tybal, Shabbat shalom to Rabbi Susan Lemley, and I assume John because it says John's name. Shabbat shalom to Bonnie, Shabbat shalom to the Avels family. In a moment, hopefully Hector will come in here and make this gallery view so I can see more people. Those are the only people I can see at the current moment. We are going to begin on page 103, and just like that, he appears. It's magic. Mute everybody and make sure they can't unmute. Right now they're muted. Okay, again, page 103, page 65, or page 10. If you're able to do so, please rise. Everybody in the sanctuary will remain masked, though anybody who's leaving from the bima will be able to unmask according to the CDC. So I'm going to unmask myself now. And if other people end up leading, they will unmask themselves and I will remask myself. So we are going to begin with Birkot HaShachar. Shabbat shalom to everyone. It's lovely to see you. Shabbat shalom to the back racks. You got in right in time. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan sechvi bina levchi min yom u'bein laila. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shesani betzamo. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Sani bat chorin. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shesani Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, pokeach ivrim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, malbish arumim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, matir asurim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, zokef kefufim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, rokah haaretz al hamayim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamechin mitzadei gaver. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shesali kol tzorki. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, ozer Yisrael bigvura. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, oter Yisrael betifara. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hanoten layayev koach. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamavir sheina meinai, utnuma me'afapai. V'yiratzah mefanecha Adonai Eloheinu melech. You may be seated. Utenenu hayom v'chol yom lechenu chesed rachamim beinecha v'nei korim v'timalenu chasadim tovim. Baruch atah Adonai gomel chasadim tovim le'amo Yisrael. L'olam yadam yerim v'shamayim v'satel v'olam adel. Ashrenu matav chalkenu, umanayim gorelenu, umayafa yerushatenu, ashrenu shanachnu mashkimim arivim, erev avoker, v'yamim pamayim bechol yom, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai echad. Kadesh shimcha matishe shemecha vekadesh shimcha be'olamecha uvishuatcha tarim v'tagbi akarnenu baruch atah Adonai mekadesh shimcha barabim. Page 112. I don't have the other. Okay, we're gonna go to page 120, page 81, or page 50 because those are the page numbers I have. Mizmar shir Chanukat habayit leDavid armim chananai kiti latani v'lasimachti v'li'anai shiviti alecha. about 8 lines from the bottom on page 120. Eilecha Adonai ekra vel Adonai etchana Eilecha Adonai ekra vel Adonai etchanan. Skip 2 lines. Shema Adonai v'choneni Adonai ozeli. Shema Adonai v'choneni Adonai ozeli. Lehema yizemecha kavod v'lo yidam Adonai Elohai le'olam adeka. Because we do not yet have a minyan in the sanctuary, we'll turn now to Baruch She'amar on page 122, page 83, or page 54. This is where Zoom and live stream win. You are more of a minyan than we have in this room right here. So thank you for being here. It's lovely to have you. And Shabbat Shalom to Larry and to Henry and to Annette and to Renee, who tells me that she's always on YouTube. Even if I can't see her, I should say Shabbat Shalom. So Shabbat Shalom to Renee Banval. Baruch Shemar ve'haya ha'olam, Baruch Hu, Baruch HaSefer Shi, Baruch HaMever Sefer Chozem Kayim, Baruch Mechu. Yachid Chei Olamim, Melech Meshubach V'Hardei Ad Shemo Gadol, Baruch Atah Adonai, Melech Mehulal Batishbachot. You may be seated. Middle of page 126, or page 86, or page 58. Hoshia et amecha, uvarech nachlatecha, urem, 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 v'nasem, urem v'nasem ad ha'olam. Hoshia et amecha, uvarech nachlatecha, urem, 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 urem v'nasem, urem v'nasem ad ha'olam. Nashini katal Adonai, osir maginu, v'yismach v'yismach v'yismach. ואני בחסדך בטחתי, יגל ליבי בישועתך, אשירה לאדוני, כי גמל עלי, שבת שלום אמר לי, למנצח מצווה לדוד, השמיים מסביב וכבודם. והוא כחתן יוצא מחופתו, יסיס קיבו על הרצח. יהיו לרצוני מרפי, והגיון לי ביפניך, אדוני צורי וגואלי, לדוד בשנתו אתמה לבני אבי מלך וגרשי וילך. Page 128, page 88, or page 62. אברך את אדוני בכל עת אמיתי, לטובת בגלל אדוני. גדלו לאדוני איתי, ולמה שמו יחדיו דרש אדוני. מי האיש החפץ חיים, אוהב ימים, לראות טוב, נצור לשונך מרע, ושפתיך מדבר מרמה, דור מרע ועשה טוב, בקש שלום ורודפהו עינינו הצדיקים ועזב ושבתם בדייננו. V'hodei Adonai nevesh avada velo yashmu kol hachosim bo. Shabbat shalom, Joanna. Tvila Moshe ish Elohim Adonai Manatai. V'hinohom Adonai Eloheinu aleinu, u'maseh yadenu konen aleinu, u'maseh yadenu koneneu, Yoshev besete elyon betzel Shaddai itlonan amar Adonai. Yikra'eni v'neu imo anochi b'tzarach letzeu v'echvadehu orechem im'as b'ehu ve'arehu b'yeshuati orechem im'as b'ehu ve'arehu b'yeshuati Hallelujah Halu et Shem Adonai Halu avdei Adonai Shem b'meit Adonai v'chesed. Beit Yisrael baruchu et Adonai, Beit Aharon baruchu et Adonai, Beit Halevi baruchu et Adonai, Yirei Adonai baruchu et Adonai, Baruch Adonai Metzion, Shochen Yerushalayim, Hallelujah. Before we move on to the next piece, I just wanted to sort of give a shameless plug, but also mention, yesterday during our Parsha class, we spoke about the portion that Aaron is given amongst the other tribes of Israel, that Aaron is not given a portion of land, but is given a portion of God. God basically says, I will be your portion, I will be your share. And the last paragraph that I just read, I always read quite slowly because I think it's so important that we think about the fact that all of these different categories of people are all able to and required to bless God. But interestingly, here it says the house of Aaron, and then it says the house of Levi, bless Adonai. And based on the Parsha class that we had yesterday, those two blessings would be quite different. So it just struck me today, more so than it has in the past, that not only are these different categories of people being asked to praise God, Aharon is the only person, right? The others are groups of people, the house of Israel, the house of Levi, but that the ways in which they bless God are different, which I think is very pertinent to how we all pray today, that we all pray and we all connect and we all bless God in very different ways. So I just want to point that out. If you have no idea what I'm talking about in terms of the Parsha class, Rabbi Matt Shapiro and I teach a Parsha class on Fridays at 11. You're welcome to come to it in real person, meaning online, or you can listen to the podcast after the fact. But that is what we spoke about in yesterday's class, and Bonnie gives it 2 thumbs up. If you're able to do so, please rise page 132, page 92, or page 72. And I'm sorry that you all chose this section of the room because when I speak, you can't see me, but if you want to, you can stay where Carl, you can stay where you are if you want, or you can move, whatever you want. But I just don't want you to feel like my back is to you. I see you all here, all of you, all 6 of you. Okay. If you're able to do so, please rise. I don't know if I said that already. Hodu l'Adonai ki tov, ki le'olam chasto. Hodu l'Elohei Elohim, ki le'olam chasto. Hodu l'Adonai Elohim, ki le'olam chasto. V'asani flektodot. Beyad chazaka ubizro netu yala gozer yom tov v'nzim Shebeshifleinu zachar lanu ki le'olam chasto Elokeinu Mitzarenu Ki leolam chasto noten lechem lecho basar ki leolam chasto podu lel hashamayim ki leolam chasto. You may be seated. Page 134, or the Psalm for Shabbat in your Siddur, which should be a page or two later. Mizmor Shir Yom HaShabbat. I guilted the sunshines into moving. Tzadika tamar yifrach kerez balvanon yizker shetulim beveit Adonai bechatzrot Eloheinu Yafrichu od yenuvun beseva deshenim verananim lehagid ki hashar Adonai Turi velo avlatabo Adonai malach lavesh lavesh Adonai osi tazar aptikun tevivatim Eidotecha nemnu meod leveitcha nava kodesh Adonai leorech yamim yanananai 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 yananai yanananai yanananai yananai Page 136, page 96, or page 81. Ashrei, Ashrei, Ashrei Techa, Odi Halalu Chasela, Ashrei Ha'am Shekacha Lo, Ashrei Ha'am Shadonai Elohavti Lo. פותח את ידיך ומסביר לכוך רצון צדיק אדוני בכל דרכיו וחסידך ומעשיו קרוב אדוני בכל קרבך. ואנחנו נברך יה מעתה ועד עולם מעתה ועד עולם מעתה ועד עולם Adonai, Adonai, Bechaya, Azam, Yodi, Adonai shomer et kerim yatom ve'almana yeoded v'derech reshaim ye'avet Imloch Adonai le'olam Elohai Tzion ledor vador Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Kitov Zamra Eloheinu Kinaim Navata Hila Bnei Yerushalayim Adonai Nichei Yisrael Echad. Magid Rabbi Yaakov, Chukav Mishpatav Israel, Lo Asachen Lechogoy, Umishpatim Bayeda Hallelujah, 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 Hallelujah. 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 Adonai min hashamayim. Hallelujah. B'meromim. Hallelujah. Chomel achav. Hallelujah. Kol tzeva'av. Hallelujah. Shemesh ve'yareach. Hallelujah. Kol kochvei or. Hallelujah. Shemei hashamayim. והמים אשר מעל השמיים יהללו את שם אדוני כי הוא ציווה ונבראו ויעמידם ליד לעולם חוק נתן ולא יעבור יהללו את שם אדוני כי הוא ציווה ונבראו ויעמידם ליד לעולם חוק נתן ולא יעבור הללויה 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 Hallelujah, Adonai, min ha'atzidim, kol adomat. Vahayarim keren lehama, tehila lecho chasidav, livnei Yisrael am karovo. Hallelujah, hallelujah, shir l'Adonai, shir chadash, tehila tobiko chasidim, yismach Yisrael. לאסור מחיהם בזיקים ונכבדיכם בחרבלי ברזל לעשות במשפט כתוב הדרו לכל חסידיו הללויה הללויה הללו אל בקודשו הללו ברכיה עוזו הללו במרתו כל הנשמה תהלליה הללויה הללויה כל הנשמה תהלליה הללויה כל הנשמה תהלליה הללויה ברוך אדוני לעולם אמן ואמן ברוך אדוני If you're able to do so, please rise. Top of page 142 or somewhere near page 102 and somewhere near page 90. Vayvarech David Adonai lenei kol hakav vayomer David baruch atah Adonai Elohei Yisrael v'yimam לך אדוני גדולה וברא ותפאר ונצח והוד כי כל השמיים ובארץ וחלומנו. Tahu Adonai Elohim asher b'chata be'Avraham ve'hotzeto me'or kasdim ve'samta shama Avraham u'matata levavo ne'eman lefanecha v'charot imo habrit latet et eretz hachani hachiti ha'amori. והיה בקטה לפניהם, ויעברו בתוך הים ביבשה, ועודפיהם משלחת במזלות, כמו אבן במים עזים, ויושע אדוני ביום ההוא את ישראל מיד מצרים ויעש את. ויאמינו באדוני ובמשה עבדו, אז ישיר משה ונצרת אשר עזב לבניו. Asher l'Raki Yoga, Sus Rachba Ramaya, Bazi Martia Vayishmavet. Micha Mochavel, Mika Machmedeva Krishna Ratila Tosefele. כי לאדוני מלחמה שבאלוהים, ואלו מושים בארץ ונשבתת הריסיו, והייתה לאדוני המלוכה, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. You may be seated. Page 145 or page 104 or page 334. And because it is 3 minutes to 10, most of our people just arrived. So I will say Shabbat Shalom to the Schneider family and to Bud Rosenthal, who actually, I don't know if that's you, but to the Rosenthal family and to the Nimoys and to David. Anybody else I haven't said Shabbat Shalom to? My grandparents, Shabbat Shalom to, I call them Mimi and Papa. So Shabbat Shalom, Mimi and Papa. Oh, hello. I was just about to say, our Torah reader and a half Torah reader are not here yet. So we know that we're getting a few more people. Okay, we're going to keep going and assume that we're going to get a minion. We lost two. Okay, well, we'll get close. How you doing? It's good to see you. Are you ready to full Korea or triennial? Triennial, okay. I wasn't sure, given your family, I wasn't sure which one we were doing. Okay. We'll continue with Nishmat on page 145, page 104, or page 334. Nishmat kol chai tevarech et shimcha Adonai Eloheinu nishmat kol chai tevarech et shimcha Adonai Eloheinu Yanai, 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 yo, Yanai, Yanai, Baruch Basar Tevet, Ramam Zichach Makim Tamim. Shabbat shalom. Nehalechecha neshabechecha unefarecha nevarech et Shem kodshecha kama leDavid barchi nafshi et Adonai v'chol korvai et Shem kodsho ha'el b'tatzumot uzecha hagadol b'chvod shemecha hagibor lanetzach v'nora v'noratecha hamelech hayoshev al kisei ram v'nisa. 3 things, 2 for everybody and 1 just for the people in the room. Though you are welcome to listen. You don't have to go anywhere. Number 1, I am very aware that we should just start services at 10 a.m. because this room doubled at 10 a.m. and all of you doubled at 10 a.m. So I think we're just going to start at 10 a.m. from now on. Yeah, don't come at 10:30. Exactly right. Toa Sunshine's right. Still come at 10. We started at 10 for 14 months. You're all very used to it. And I get that. It's just very funny that literally the clock struck 10 a.m. and this room filled and you all filled. So that's number 1. Number 2 is just for the people in the room. There's a table right when you enter that has the different aliyot on it. And this is what I used to do in Beitenu. And because I am one person and we aren't allowing as many people into this room in general, but also it's a small crowd this morning. It would be lovely for people to be able to take honors that they want. So anybody can take an aliyah off of that table. If you want to do the prayer for the country or a prayer for Israel or Hagba or Galila or any of those things, feel free to just go take one of the laminated sheets on the table over there. And the last thing, I am now forgetting what I was going to say. So Joey will begin for us on page 147 or page 105 or page 336. Let me just get out of your way, Joey. Okay, I'll call page number.
Okay. Shochenad marom bekadosh shemo.
Shochenad marom bekadosh shemo.
B'yishrim b'talav b'rei tzadikim tiparach v'ilshon chasadim titromam uvkerev kadoshim tit kadash uvmakalot rivivot amecha beit Yisrael. Shekin chova kol hayitrim fanachar Eloheinu v'elhei avoteinu v'hodot al shabeach v'fer l'romim l'adar v'arech v'alei l'kales al kol divrei shir v'tish bechod David ben Ishai avdecha meshichecha.
If you're able to do so, please rise.
Yishtabach shimcha la'ad malkeinu. Berachot v'hodot me'atavi ad olam baruch atah Adonai el melech adol batish bachot el hahodot Adonai niflaot habocher b'shirei zimra melech elchei haolamim yitgadal v'yitkadash shemech rabah v'yalemadi v'rakirutech v'yamlich malchutech v'chayechon v'yomechon Uvchayedechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agalav Bizman Kari, V'imru, Amen. Yehei Shemech Rabah Mavarach, Le'olam La'lamei Lamaya. Yitbarach, V'yishabach, Yitbar B'yitram B'yinaseh, V'yadar V'ytaleh, V'ytalal, Shemech Kudsha, B'richu. Le'ila Min Kol Birchata V'shirata, Tushbechata, V'nechamata, Damiram Be'alema, V'imru, Amen.
Amen. In a moment, Joey will lead us in the Baruch Hu, which can be found on page 149 or page 107 or page 340. and we will not be calling page numbers between the Baruch Hu and the Amidah. So just follow along in your Sidurim. The Amidah can be found on page 306 or nope, that's the Festival Amidah. Very funny that these are the page numbers I have. Okay, well, the Amidah, that was
159 in the
yeah. Page, I just don't know what, well, okay, we will get to the Amidah all together. Just follow along in your Sidurim, and maybe we'll do some Akdamut later today. That's what my page numbers say, so. Go ahead.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Adonai Le'machal Masur V'Kosher Tzefel Pnei Dakol. Akol Yiducha V'Kol Yishabechucha V'Kol Yimen. In Kirkachar and I Elohim Ba'olam Hazeh, V'in Zlatecha Malkeinu Chai Olam Haba, Efes Biltecha Go'elin Limot HaMashiach, V'in Domel HaMashin, L'Tchiat HaMeitim, El Adon Al Kol HaMasim, Baruch V'Vorach, V'Fi Kol Neshama, Godlo B'Tuvo, Malei Olam Da'at Utbuna Sovevimoto. Hamid Gael Chayot HaKodesh V'Nedar B'Chavod Al HaMerkava Tzechut U'Mishor Lifnei Chiso Chesed V'Rachamim Lifnei Chevodo Tovim Meorot Shebara Eloheinu Yitzaram V'Dat V'Vina Uvaskel Koach U'Gvura Natan Bahem Liot Moshlim B'Kerev Tevel Maleim Ziv Mefikim Noga Nazivam B'Chol Olam Simchim B'Tzeitam V'Tzasim B'Voam Osim B'Heim Aratzon Konam Pe'er B'Chavod Notanim Lishmot Sola Verina L'Zicher Malchuto Kara L'Shemesh V'Yizrach Ora V'Hikin Zorat Halvana Shevach Notanim Lo Kol Tzeva Marom Tiferet Ugedula Serafim Ve'ofanim V'chayot HaKodesh Le'el Sheshavat Mikol HaMasim Ve'yimashvit Tibrach Moshe Shach Masayadecha Bel or Shasita Yafaru Chasel Tibrach Turin Makina will go Alain and break it. Kalam Ovim, Kalam Berim, Kalam Giborim, Kalam Osim Beima, Vira Ritzon Konam, Kalam Potachim at Pihem Biktishav Torah, Pishrav Zimra, Barachim Shabachim Barim Marik Simakishim Amichim, Et Shem Ha'el Hamala Hagalog Borvana Ra Kadoshu. Bechuam Makabelim Alehem Chushman Zemizev, Notinim Laze, Otishosam Benachat Ruach. Safa Ravini Makdo Shakalam Kechanim Yomerim Beira Kadosh 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 Adonai Tavot Mocharet Kivodo Paufanim Bchayot HaKodesh Birash Gadol Minaseim Lemasrafim Lematam Meshabechim Yomerim Baruch Kivod Adonai Mekomo. Oh, Baruch Nemo Yitain Or Chadash Al Tzion Tair B'Niz Kechulanu Meher Alilro Baruch Atah Adonai Yotzer HaMeorot Haba Rabba Havtanu Adonai Eloheinu Chem Lagid Tera, Chamalta Aleinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Ba'avur Avoteinu, Shabbatechu Becha, Shabbatechu Becha, Avinu Malkeinu, Vatelamedem Chukei Chaim, Ken Techonenu Tlamedenu, Avinu Ha'av Harachaman, Hamerachem Rachem Aleinu, V'tem Belibenu Lehavin, Haskil Lishmoa, Lilmo, Lelamed, Lishmor Velasot, Ukayem et kol divrei Talmud Toratecha b'ava, v'ha'ereinu b'toratecha, v'dabek libeinu b'mitzvotecha, v'yachid levaveinu le'ahava u'ira et shemecha, v'lo nevot le'olam va'ed, v'lo nevot le'olam va'ed, ki v'shem kodshecha hagadol v'hanora batachnu, nagila v'nismecha, nagila v'nismecha v'yeshuatecha, v'havienu le'shalom me'arba kanfot haaretz, v'tolichenu komemiyut le'artzenu, ki el poel Yeshuot ata, uvanu v'acharta mikolam v'lashon, v'keravtanu l'shimcha hagadol, selah be'emet lehodo lecha, Uliyachedcha be'ahava, Baruch atah Adonai, Avochem Yisrael be'ahava, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Godfather. Und dieses Adonai Elohechem emet be'atziv Rovarorka Mushmokam Chisa Nachan Makoto Lemnatolad Kayamet Rab Chaim Bekayamim Nemanim Nachmimad Omeolamim. Emet Shatahu Adonai Eloheinu Belhe Avotenu Malkeinu Melech Avotenu Goelenu Goel Avotenu Yeterinu Tu Yeshuatenu Pudim Matilinu Melam Shemecha Ein Elohim Zilatecha Ezrat Avotenu Atahu Me'olam Magin Musim. Zillion Barchum Borach Moshe Miriam Uvnei Israel Chanu Shirab Simcha Rabba V'Ameru Chulam Mi Chamocha Ba'elim Adonai Mi Kamocha Nedar B'Kodesh Nora Tehilot Osef Belech Shira Chadasha Shibechu Geulim L'Shimcha Al Sifat Hayam Yachad Kulam Hodu V'Himlichu V'Yameru Adonai Imloch Le'olam Va'ed Zur Yisrael Kuma Bezrat Yisrael Ufdechinu Mecha Yehuda veYisrael Go Aleinu Adonai Tzvaot Shemo Kedosh Yisrael Baruch Atah Adonai Gal Yisrael.
If you have not yet finished your Amidah, please continue at your own pace. Joey will begin the Amidah for us on page, I found page numbers, 159, 115, or page 354. And we will join together with him for the Kedusha.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov Elhei Sarah, Elhei Rivka, Elhei Rachel, Elhei Leah. Hail Hagadol Hagibor Banara, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Vikone Hakol, Vizocher Chasiavot, Mivi Goel Ibn Ham, Mashma Biava, Melchazar Fokadim Moshiach Umagain, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magin Abraham, Fokat Sarah, Atagibor Lam Adonai Mechem Timata Rav Loshia, Morid Hatal, Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed, Mechaye Meitim Berachamim Rabim, Somech Nofelim Verofei Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Kayem Emunato Lishenei Afar, Micha Mocha Bal Gevurot, Umido Melach, Melech Mimit, Chayeh, Matmiach Yeshua, Bnemat Halachayot Meitim, Baruch Atah Adonai, Mechaye HaMeitim. Nekadi Shishim Chabalam, Kishim Shemakti Shimoto Bishmei Marom, Kakatuva Yaniviecha, Kazel Zev, Amar. Azbekol, Rash Gadol, Adir V'chazak, Mashmim Kol, Mitnaseim, Lumat Serafim, Lumatam, Baruch Yomeru, Baruch Adonai, Mimekomo. Mimekomecha Malkeinu Tofia, V'timloch Alinu Kimechakim Anachnu Lach, Matai Timoch B'tziyam B'karo B'yamin L'Olam V'Tishkon, Tit Gadol V'Tit Kadash B'toch Yerushalayim Yirecha L'Dor V'Ador U'Netzach Netzachim V'Einenu Tirena Malchutecha Kadavar Amur B'Shirei Uzecha Aide David Mashiach Tzidkecha L'Chadonai L'Olam El Ha'ichtion L'Dor Vador Hallelujah L'Dor Vador Nagid Godlecha L'Netzach Netzachim Kedushatecha Nakdish V'shivchacha Elohim Mipin Le'em V'Shalom Vayed Ki Melchel V'Kadosh Ata Baruch Ata Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh Yismach Moshe B'Matanat Chalko Ki Even Ne'eman Karat Halok Lil Tifer Pershonatata Gomro F'Nechal Har Sinai V'Shnil Choravanim Hori B'Yado V'Chatu B'Hem Shemirat Shabbat V'Chein Katu V'Toratecha V'Shamir B'nei Yisrael TaShabbat L'Asot TaShabbat L'Dorotam B'rit Olam V'Nivim B'nei Yisrael Tilulam Ki Shish Yamim Masad Et HaShamayim V'Yad Haaretz V'Yom HaShavi'i Shabbat V'Yin Nafash V'Lo Netzato Adonai Eloheinu Golei Ha'aratzot V'Lo Yinchalto Malkeinu V'Dei Fesilim V'Gam B'Nichato Shkanura Elim Ki Le'Yisrael Mechaneteto B'Yava Zer Yaakov Asher Bam B'Charta Am Kadeshesh V'Yiklam Yisbu B'Tanegu Mitzuvecha V'Ashavi'i Ratzita Abo V'Kidashto Chemdatem Mimotokarata Zichar Maseh V'Reshit Eloheinu V'Elohei Avotenu Ritzei V'Nuchatenu Kadeshenu B'Mitzvotecha V'Tein Chalkenu B'Toratecha Sabe'enu Mituvecha V'Samechenu B'Shuatecha V'Taher Libeinu L'Uvdecha B'Emet V'Hanchilenu Adonai Eloheinu Be'ahava Uvratzon Shabbat Kodshecha Yanuchu Vach Yisrael Mekadeshei Shemecha Baruch Atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat V'Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu B'Mecha Yisrael V'Tfilatam V'Hashiv Et Ha'avodah L'Ivir B'Techa U'Tfilatam Be'avat Tekabel B'Ratzon U'Tfilatam Tamid Avodah Yisrael Amecha Shechazenani B'Shivchaltim B'Rachamim Baruch Atah Adonai Machazir Shechinato L'Tzion Modim Anachnu Lach Atah Adonai Eloheinu V'Eloheinu L'Olam Vayed Chayinu Magin, Ishinu, Talador, Wador, Nodel Khan Tapirtia Techa, Alchainu Hamisarim Biadecha, Yanish Motina Picadillach, Secha Shebachol Yomi Mani, Yanif Leo, Secha Vatovatecha Shebacholit, Erev Baba Kervis Horai, Matov Kilo Kaluracha Mecha, Hamerachim, Kilo Tamu Chazarecha, Melam, Kivinulach, Yalkulani Brakbit, Ramshim Kamakinu, Tamidolam Vaed. בכל החיים ירוך סלע בהלו שמך באמת, ישועתנו בעזרתנו סלע ברוך אתה אדוני, אתה שמך לפניי להודות. אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו, ברכנו בברכה המשולשת, בתורה הכתובה על ידי משה עבדך, האמורה מפי אהרון בניו, כהנים עם קדושיך, כאמור, יראך אדוני וישמרך. יאיר אדוני פניו אליך ויחונך. יישא אדוני פניו אליך ויעשה לך שלום. שים שלום טובה וברכה, חן וחסד ורחמים, עלינו ועל כל ישראל, עמך. ברכנו אבינו כולנו כאחד, כולנו כאחד, באור פניך, כי באור פניך נתת לנו, אדוני אלוהינו, תורת חיים ואהבת חסד, וצדקה וברכה, ורחמים וחיים ושלום, יאי נאי 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 יאי נאי 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 נאי, וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך, לברך את עמך ישראל, בכל עת ובכל שעה, בשלומך, ברוך אתה אדוני, המברך עמו ישראל בשלום.
Kaddish Shalem, page 167, page 138, or page 392.
Ikadavi Kadashimeh Rabba.
Amen.
Yalimadi Verakirte, Viamlich Machute, Bachayechon of Yomechon, Ukhayachol be Israel, Balavis Mankari Vimru.
Amen.
Yeshemeh Rabba Mevarach. Alam Lalam Elamaya, Eat Barach, Bishabach, Barbit Rambina, Savit Hadarbit Levital Shemeh Kudsha. Leila Mikl Brichata, Vishrata, Tishbachata, Nechamata, Damiram Belema Vimru.
Amen.
Tikabalto to vote the home, the whole Israel, Kuram of Hondi Vishmaya Vimru.
Amen.
Heshalam Araba Mishmaya Vchaim, Alin Vakoliso Vimru.
Amen.
Oh, Seshalom Biromav, Huya Seshalom, Alin Vakol Israel Vimru.
Amen.
Muxia.
Oh, no, it's okay. I'm just going to make an announcement. We're going to continue with the Torah service. Jackie will lead us. Shabbat Shalom to the Hermans, to Helen, to Sandy Fields. Shabbat Shalom. Anybody else? Marizana, Shabbat Shalom to you. Finally, I can see your face. And to Jeff Altman. He can't hear me yet, but Shabbat Shalom to Jeff Altman. Jackie will begin the Torah reading. Do you want to read Torah? No? Okay, the Torah service for us. In a moment, Hector will move this computer lower down so we have this table for the Torah itself. And again, if you have not taken an aliyah or you would like some other kind of honor, we'll need kind of full participation in this room. So it would be lovely to give you an honor if you would like one. Page 168. Is that true? Page 168. Yes.
Ein kamocha ba'Elohim Adonai, ve'ein k'ma'asecha, malchutecha malchut kol olamim, u'memshaltecha b'chol dor v'hador. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai imloch, le'olam v'hed, Adonai of lamo yitain, Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom, av harachamim, hitiv al birtzoncha et Zion, tivnei chomot Yerushalayim, tivnei chomot Yerushalayim. Ki lecha levad batachnu, melech olam v'nisa, Adon olamim. You did, Rabbi Schatz. Vayhi bin Aaron, vayomer Moshe, Kuma Adonai, ve'afutzu oivecha, ve'anusu misanecha, mipanecha, ki mitzion tetzeh Torah, ki mitzion tetzeh Torah, Udvar Adonai, Mirushalayim, Baruch Shenatan, Torah, Torah, Baruch Shenatan, Torah, Torah, Le'amo Yisrael, B'Kedushato. Ben arachetz velishme kadisha kadisha yakira ana emar tushbechan ben arachetz velishme kadisha Kadisha Yakira Ana Emhar Tushbechan Yehera Vakadama Tetiv Tahli Bibeoraita Betashli Mishali Delibi Veli Badechol Amach Yisrael V'tavuchai v'lishlam. Amen. Stand here. Yeah. Whatever that you want. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Echad Eloheinu Gadol Adoninu Kadosh Shemo. Echad Eloheinu Gadol Adoninu Kadosh Shemo. Gadol Adonai Tzivun Romim Shemo Yachdav. Lecha Adonai Hagidula V'Hagivura Tiferet ve'anetzach ve'ahod Kicho b'shamayim uvar Kicho b'shamayim uvar Lecha Adonai na'nacha ve'amid Haseh lechol erosh Romimu Romimu Adonai Eloheinu והשתחוו, והשתחוו, להדון הקדוש הוא. רוממו, רוממו, אדוני אלוהינו, והשתחוו, והשתחוו, להר קדוש הוא. כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו.
No, I know, but are you sharing it with your dad? You're reading it? Okay, amazing. Again, Shabbat Shalom to everyone. Oh, you're almost as tall as me if you're on that thing. That was very exciting. Leah's going to be reading for us from Parashat Korach. And this is a very exciting moment because the last time that I heard you read Torah was for your bat mitzvah, but on Zoom. You remember that a long time ago? Yeah. Sort of yes, she read, or sort of yes, that was the last time.
Sort of yes, she read.
Sort of yes, she read. Oh, because it wasn't from, no, it was from a Torah.
It was in our house.
Right.
Yeah.
No, that's what I'm saying. That was the last time that I heard you read. I haven't heard you read in person in a very long time. So it's lovely to have you in this room and reading.
We heard her at, what was it called? At Simchat Torah.
That's right. When we did the different stations. That's right. I stand corrected. So it was a long time ago. Yes. So Leah's going to be reading for us. We are going to begin. Oh, I don't know. A Chumash.
You got it.
Oh, great. Page.
862.
Page 863 in the Eitz Chaim Chumash. If you are in a regular Bible, it is Numbers chapter 16, verse 20 is the first Aliyah. Did someone take the first Aliyah card in the room? No? Okay. Nick, do you want the first Aliyah? Where does yours start? Right about not Moshe Haran. So this might be it over here. Read Bible will be the easier one to find here. Okay, well, that's good. That's a good sign. Here you go. Can you see it?
Sort of.
Do you want me to bring it down closer to you? Yeah. Okay, is that better? Okay, Nick, you're gonna actually do the Aliyah from over there, but I'll call you up. ויעזור וגם ושיהיה לכל החוסים בו ונאמר אמן. הכבוד גדולנו שנו כבוד לתורה יעמוד.
משה אריאל בן אברהם ושרה.
משה אביהו בן אברהם ושרה, ראשון ברוך שנתן תורה לעמו ישראל בקדושתו. ואתם מבכים על עליכם, האם כולכם היום.
ברכו את אדוני המבורך.
ברוך אדוני מבורך לעולם ועד.
ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר בכה בנו מכל העמים ונתן לנו את תורתו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
אמן.
וידבר אדוני אל משה ולאהרון. וידבר אדוני אל משה ולאהרון לאמור, היבדלו מתוך העדה הזאת וחלקתם חגה, ויתלו על פניהם ואמרו אל הרוחות לכל בשר, האיש אחד יחטא וכל העדה תקצוף. וידבר אדוני אל משה לאמור, דבר אל העדה לאמור, הלו מסביב למשכן קורח דתן ואבירם, ויקם משה וילך אל דתן ואבירם, וילכו אחריו זקני ישראל, ודבר אל העדה לאמור, צור נא מעל. אלוהים הנשים הראשים האלה, אל תיגעו בכל אשר להם, פן תשתפו בכל חטאתם, ויעלו. מעל משכן קורח, דתן ואבירם מסביב, דתן ואבירם יצאו ניצבים. פתח עליהם ונשיהם ובניהם בטבם.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת בחיי עולם נטע בתוכנו ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen. So before Nick leaves the stage, as it were, you had a birthday this week, and I would love to be able to give you a Misha Berach. I have not known Nick for very long, but one of the things that I have definitely come to know about you in the very short time that I've experienced you in our community is that you bring your whole heart to everything, and that you feel very deeply about each and every moment. And so I wanted to make sure that you also had a Misha Berach for your birthday. I know you got one from Ikar before your birthday, but we're going to do it after your birthday.
Yeah. Why not?
Exactly. We win. It's not a competition. But also your birthday, and this is just a personal thing, your birthday was on my uncle's birthday, and my uncle passed away 7 years ago. And so that day is a very emotional day for me and for my family, because it's a birthday that we can no longer celebrate. And it's beautiful when there's other birthdays on that day of people that are wonderful, who deserve that celebration, because it makes it feel like he still is living on, even if you never knew him. So it is my pleasure and my honor to really give you this Misha Berach. Misha Berach, Avotenu Abraham, Yitzchak, Ve'Yaakov, Ve'imotenu Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Ve'Leah, Yivarech. What's your Hebrew name?
It's Moshe Aviel ben Avraham Esau.
Moshe Aviel ben Avraham Esau, Hayom Lichvod HaMakom, Lichvod HaTorah, Ve'Lichvod HaShabbat. ולהודות לשם קודשו על כל חסד אשר מיום היווד לו עד היום הזה. הקדוש ברוך הוא ישמור אותו מכל נגע ומחלה ויוסיף לו שנות חיים מלאים בריאות ואהבה ושלום ושלווה, וישלח ברכה והצלחה בכל מעשה ידיו עם כל ישראל אחיו ואחיותיו, ונאמר amen. May the one who blessed our ancestors Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless you, Nick, who has ascended today to honor God, the Torah, and Shabbat, and to thank God for all the blessings God has bestowed on you from the day of your birth until today. May God protect you from all disease and illness and bless you with a long life filled with good health and love. And may God send blessing and success in all of your endeavors. And let us say, Amen. Yom Hulet Sameach. And you should all welcome Nick. He is new to the Ziegler School of Rabbinic Studies and therefore to our community. And we are blessed to have you, and we welcome you into Temple Beth Am.
Thank you. It's
You're
lovely
very
to be here.
Ya'amdu Tova Bar Avram Esara ve. Should I do the sigh first too? Chaim. Ven Yishai v'chaya sheni.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Yvarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch atah Hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen. Verse 28. It's right there. Yeah.
ויאמר משה בזאת תדעון כי אדוני שלחני לעשות את כל מעשים האלה כי לא מלבי אם כמות כל אדם ימותון אלה ופקודת כל אדם יפקד עליהם לאדוני שלחני ואם בריאה יבר אדוני ובעשה אדמה את פי העולם ואת כל אשר להם ואחדו חיים שלח וידעתם כי נעצו הנשים האלה את אדוני ויקרא אותו לדבר את כל דברים האלה ותקבע האדמה שבתוככם. ותמתח הארץ את פיها ותבלע אותם ואת בתיהם ואת כל האדם אשר על הכרך ואת כל החוש וירדו גם וכל אשר להם חיים שלב ותחס עליהם הארץ ועבדו מתוך הקהל וכל ישראל אשר סביבותיהם נסלו כלם כי אמרו כתוב לנו הארץ ואש יצא מאת אדוני בתוך הארץ 50 ו200 איש מכלבי הקטורת.
קטורת.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata betochenu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. It's lovely to have Tova and Carl in the sanctuary, not just on the screen in the sanctuary. Lovely to have you. Ya'amad Rabbeinu Morenu Yisrael Yaakov Ben Eli Verivka Shalishi. Thank you.
Page 865, beginning of chapter 17.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Ata Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
וידבר אדוני משה לאמור, אמר אלעזר בן נון הכהן, ויקם את המחתות מבין השרפה את האש הרעלה, כי קדשו את מחתות החטאים האלה, נפשותם ואשותם, רכוי פחים תפל מזבח, הם קרובים לפני אדוני, וקשו ויהי לעוד לפני ישראל, ויקח אלעזר כהן. את המחתות הנחושת אשר הקריבו השרופים ורקום טיפול מזבח תיכון לפני ישראל למען אשר לא יקרב איש זר אשר במזרחון הוא לקטיר קטורת לפני אדוני לא יהיה כרך וקדתו כאשר דיבר אדוני ועד משה לא.
Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch Ata Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Fourth aliyah. Joey, would you like an aliyah?
Okay.
Okay, great. Ya'amad
Yosef Yaakov,
Yosef Yaakov ben.
Michael Rachel Malka,
Say it again.
Michael,
Michael
Rachel Malka.
Verachamaka Rabbi.
Page 866, verse 6. Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Mevorach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Ata Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
ויעלו כל הדת בני ישראל למחרת, אמר שבל ההרזן, אמר אתם עמיתם את אדוני, ויהי בקהל העדה על משה ועל ההרן, ויפנו אליו למעט נכס ההוא, ענן ורק כבוד אדוני, ויבוא משה וההרן אל פני המועד.
Moed.
Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch Ata Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Fifth aliyah?
Yes.
Oh. Rabbi Daniel Torney? It's full participation morning, so.
Still do Hava.
Oh, you can still, yes, you can still do Hava. In fact, you can give the drash too, if you want. Okay, okay. Ya'amad Harav.
Daniel Yahu,
Daniel Yahu.
Ben Harav Herzl, Rafael Amos,
Ben Harav Herzl.
Rafael,
Rafael Amos.
Be'aviva.
Ve'aviva chamishi. We'll pause now for Amisha Berach, for Cholim. I will read a list of congregants' names, and if you would like to add your own names, whether you're on Zoom or in person, please say them aloud as I pause. Misha Berach, Avotinu Abraham, Yitzchak, veYaakov, Imotenu Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, veLeah. V'yivarech v'yirpeh et Zehava Yafa bat Esther vet Rivka bat Pesha vet Catherine bat Sarah vet Stanley Greitzer vet Harav Yaakov Baruch ben Uri v'Chava vet Yosef Menachem Mendel ben Gittel vet Yehuda ben Avraham v'Sarah vet Fredo bat Rachel vet Metuka Sarah bat Sheno Golda vet Bela Esther Gittel bat Fega vet Ben Zion ben Gittel vet Eliyahu ben Shena Shira vet Yelena Kramer vet Aharon Avram ben Adina vet Rivka bat Nechama vet Hillel ben Yaakov vet Cyril Chana bat Sivia vet Risa Chana bat Chasia Gehula vet Avraham Simcha ben Avram v'Sarah vet Sarah Cyril bat Miriam vet Menachem ben Lili vet Natan David ben Baruch v'Mina vet Ruth Freda bat Miriel vet Yehudi Israel ben Leah, vet Shulamit bat Miriam, vet Mordechai ben Hester, vet Chaim ben Sarah Leah, vet Marion bat Angelica, vet Yosef Alilach bat Miriam, vet Michael Quenso, vet Penina Drabin, vet David Fulman, vet Rivka Chana bat Zipporah, vet Lucy Leah bat Torah, vet Luz bat Sarah, vet Paula Zombra, vet Pinchas ben Eliza, vet Yehudit bat Rivka, vet Danny Benjamin ben Tova Nurit, vet Gershon ben Chaim, vet Iverta, vet Yaakov ben Rachel, vet Penina bat David, vet Yaakov ben Avraham, vet Michael ben Leah, vet Sarah bat David, vet Dina. HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yimale Rachamim Alehem Lehachatzikam Lerafotam Veishlach Lehem Mehera Refuah Shlema Min Hashemayim Refuat HaNefesh Refuat HaGuf Betoch She'acholim Vechazek Et Yidei Oskim Betzorcheihem Shabbat Himilizok Urefuah Krova Lavo Hashta Bagala Uvizman Kariv Venamar Amen. Refuah Shlema to all those names that we heard and all those who you are thinking of.
Baruchu et Adonai Hamvorach. Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Olam Vaed. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam. Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim Venatan Lanu et Torato. Baruch Ata Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
וידבר חתנה משה לאמור, הרום ומתוך חדה הזאת ולתתם חגה ויפלו על פניהם, ואמר משה אל אהרון, קח את המחתה ותנה לי האש מעל המזבח ושים קטורת והולך מהרה אל העדה וכפר להם כי יצא הקצף מלפני אדוני אכל הנגף וכך הקרון כאשר דיבר משה ורץ את כל הקהל והנה אכל הנגף בעם ויתן הקטורת וכפר על העם וימו בין המתים ובין החיים תצח המגפה ויהיו המתים במגפה 14,700 מלבד המתים על דבר קורח ושבח רון משה אל פתח ומועד והמגפה נעצרה.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת וחיי עולם נטע בתוכנו ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen. It is lovely to have Rabbi Chorny in services, which means that your children are probably in the children's program. It's lovely to have you. And I'm not sure if it's public, but I will just say Mazal Tov. You're welcome. Anybody on this side of the room want to have an aliyah? Come on up. Nothing like a brother to have an aliyah for his sister reading. Ya'amad. Yehoshua ben Yosef. Yehudit. Was that it? Yehudit? Yeah. Okay. Yehudit, the aliyah Shishi.
Baruch Adonai Baruch.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam. אשר בחר בנו מכל העמים ונתן לנו את תורתו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen. Verse 16.
וידבר אדוני משה לאמור, דבר לבני ישראל, לקח מאיתם מטה לבית אב, את כל נשיאם לבית אבותם 12 מטות איש, את שמו תכתוב במטהו, את שם אהרון תכתוב במטה לוי, כי מטה אחד לראש בית אבותם, ונחתם בהם את לבני העדות אשר קובעת לכם שמה, והיה האיש אשר כפו מטה יפקח שיקוטים עלי, את שנות בני ישראל, אשר הם מעלימים עליכם,
מלוי
עליכם.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת, בחיי העולם נטע בתוכנו, ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen. Ya'amad. Michael Zev. I can't hear you. Ben David Dvorah. Have you ever heard? I can't hear you. Ben David Dvorah. That's funny. Thank you. There you go.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam
Baruch
Va'ed.
Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch
You started
Atah
over
Adonai
there.
Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol hamim v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
וידבר משה על בני ישראל, ויתנו עליו כל נשיאיהם, מטה לנשיא אחד, מטה לנשיא אחד לבית אבותם 12 מטות, מטה אהרון מתוך מטותם, והנח משה את המטות לפני אדוני, באוהל העדות, ויהי מחרת, ויבוא משה אל אוהל העדות, והנה פרח מטה אהרון לבית לוי, ויצא פרח ויצא הציץ, ויגמול שקדים, ויצא משה את כל המטות לפני אדוני, על כל בני ישראל, ויראו ויקחו איש מטהו.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Ta'amad. Oh. Eliana Vamicha Venava Maftir.
Not my birthday, but her Hebrew birthday was Rosh Chodesh Tammuz.
Ah, okay. We can do a little Misha Berach. First, we're going to do Chatzi Kaddish. Would you like to do it? Yitkada v'yitkada shemei rava ve'amad yivrach yotei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon v'yom echon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael bagala uv'yizmah kari v'yimeru amen yesh shemei rava mevorach le'olam olam mehomaya yitbarach Yitbarach v'yishabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitale v'yitalal shemei dekudesha b'richu le'elam min kol berchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'yimeru amen. Again, verse 21, chapter 17.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
וידבר משה על בני ישראל, ויתנו עליו כל נשיאיהם, מטה לנשיא אחד, מטה לנשיא אחד לבית אבותם 12 מטות, ומטה אהרון מתוך מטותם, והנח משה את המטות לפני אדוני, באוהל העדות, ויהי מחרת, ויבוא משה אל אוהל העדות, והנה פרח מטה אהרון לבית לוי, ויצא פרח ויצא הציץ, ויגמול שקדים, ותמשה את כל המטות לפני אדוני אל כל בני ישראל, ויראו ויקחו איש מטה.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת וחיי עולם נטע בתוכנו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen. A little birdie told me that it's your Hebrew birthday. Really told all of us that it's your Hebrew birthday. So, Eliana. It is lovely to have you back as well in our sanctuary and back in this space to be able to do what you've been really doing throughout the entire year, reading Haftorah or leading our community in some way, but to have you back in person is lovely. So I hope that this next year is one of strength and happiness and joy and lots of time together in this community. מי שברך אבותינו אברהם יצחק ויעקב אמתנו שרה רבקה רחל ולאה יברך את אליאנה בת מיכאל ונאווה שעלתה היום לכבוד המקום ולכבוד התורה ולכבוד השבת ולהודות לשם קודשו על כל חסד אשר גמלה מיום היוולדה עד היום הזה. הקדוש ברוך הוא ישמור אותה מכל נגע מחלה ויוסיף לה שנות חיים מלאים בריאות ואהבה ושלום ושלווה וישלח ברכה והצלחה בכל מעשה ידיה עם כל ישראל אחיה ואחיותיה ונאמר amen. May the one who blessed our ancestors Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah bless you, Eliana, who was ascended today to honor God, the Torah, and Shabbat, and to thank God for all the blessings God has bestowed on you from this day of your birth until today. May God protect you from all disease and illness, bless you with a long life filled with good health and love, and may God send blessing and success in all of your endeavors, and let us say amen. And before we call up our Hagba and Galila, Leah, I just want to say this was an amazing Torah reading. And not only am I proud of you because it was an amazing Torah reading, but because you are someone who I've had the privilege of teaching and have the privilege of being in my classroom. And it's really just such an honor to see you grow and continue to use your Torah to brighten our services and brighten our lives and also brighten your life, because I heard all those little giggles and I love that you read Torah while giggling. That is the best way to read Torah. So I hope you'll continue to do this for our community and continue to be a student and a teacher for all of us. Shakach. Ya Amad. I hear your hog buying. Ya Amad. What? Oh, Eric already has Hagba. The fight over the Hagba. Ya Amad Hamagbia. Did someone also take the Leela? Or is Leah gonna go? Oh, Josh, okay, great. Ya Amad Hagolel. Please rise. Yeah, you can. Vezot HaTorah asher sam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael al pi Lechon tirotei shalom, derachei noam. Oh, lechon tirotei shalom, yanai You can either hold it, Eric, or if you want to put in one of the holders, you can. That one's probably easier. As soon as the Torah is put down, you may be seated. Eliana will be reading for us the Haftorah for Korach, which can be found on page 877. It's 1 Samuel. Chapter 11, verse 14 is the beginning of it. If you are in the Eitz Chaim, though, it is on page 877. And the blessings before the Haftorah can be found on page 175.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'nviim tovim v'ratza b'divreihem hanemarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai habocher b'torah u'b'moshe avdo u'v'Yisrael amo v'nviei ha'emet v'tzedek.
Amen.
Vayomer Shmuel ha'am lechu v'nelcha ha'gilgal v'nchadesh sham hamlucha. Vayalchu ha'am ha'gilgal vayamlichu sham et Shaul lifnei Adonai b'gilgal vayisbachu sham zvachim shlamim lifnei Adonai vayismach sham Shaul v'chol anshe Yisrael ad me'od. Vayomer Shmuel al kol Yisrael, hine shamati v'kolchem, lechol asher amartem li, va'amlich alechem melech. Ve'ata, hine hamelech, mithalech lifnechem, va'ani zakanti v'asavti, uvanai hinam idchem, va'ani hithalachti lifnechem, מנעורי עד היום הזה, הנני אנובי נגד אדוני ונגד משיחו את שור. מי לקחתי וחמור, מי לקחתי, ואת מי עשקתי, את מי רצותי, ומיד מי לקחתי חופר, ועל ימיני בו. ואשיב לכם, ויאמרו לא עשקתנו ולא רצתנו, ולא לקחת מיד איש מאומה. ויאמר עליהם, את אדוני בכם, ואת משיחו היום הזה, כי לא מצאתם בידי מאומה. ויאמר עד. ויאמר שמואל אל העם אדוני אשר עשה את משה ואת אהרון ואשר העלה את אבותיכם מארץ מצרים ועתה התייצבו וישבת איתכם לפני אדוני את כל צדקות אדוני אשר עשה איתכם ואת אבותיכם. כאשר בא יעקב מצרים, ויזעקו אבותיכם אל אדוני, וישלח אדוני את משה ואת אהרון, ויוציאו את אבותיכם ממצרים, ויושיבום במקום הזה. וישכחו את אדוני אלוהיהם, וימכור אותם ביד סיסרא, שר טווח חצור, וביד פלישתים, וביד מלך מואב, וילחמו בם. ויזעקו אל אדוני, ויאמרו חטאנו, כי עזבנו את אדוני, ונעבוד את הבעלים ואת השטרות, ועתה הצילנו מיד אויבינו ונעבדך. וישלח אדוני את ירבעל ואת בדן, ואת יפתח ואת שמואל, ויצל אתכם מיד אויביכם מסביב, ותשבו בטח. ותראו כי נחש מלך בני עמון בא עליכם, ותאמרו לי לא, כי מלך עמך עלינו, ואדוני אלוהיכם מלככם. ועתה הנה המלך אשר בחרתם אשר שלתם, והנה נתן אדוני עליכם מלך. אם תראו את אדוני, ועבדתם אותו, שמעתם בקולו, ולא תאמרו את פי אדוני, והייתם גם אתם, וגם המלך אשר מלך עליכם, אחר אדוני אלוהיכם. ואם לא תשמעו בקול אדוני, ומריתם את פי אדוני, והייתה יד אדוני בכם ובאבותיכם. גם עתה התייצבו וראו את הדבר הגדול הזה, אשר אדוני עושה לעיניכם. הלא קציר חיטים היום אקרא אל אדוני, ויתן קולות ומטר, ודעו וראו. יראתכם רבה אשר עשיתם בעיני אדוני, לשאול לכם מלך. ויקרא שמואל אל אדוני, ויתן אדוני קולות ומטר ביום ההוא, וירא כל העם מאוד את אדוני ואת שמואל. ויאמרו כל העם על שמואל, התפלל בעד עבדיך אל אדוני אלוהיך ואל נמות, כי אספנו כל חטאתנו רעה, לשאול לנו מלך. ויאמר שמואל אל העם, אל תיראו, אתם עשיתם את כל הרעה הזאת, אך אל תסורו מאחרי אדוני, ועבדתם את אדוני בכל לבבכם, ולא תסורו כי אחרי התוהו אשר לא יועילו ולא יצילו, כי תוהו המה. כי לא יטוש אדוני את עמו בעבור שמו הגדול, כי הואיל אדוני לעשות אתכם לעולם. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, צור כל העולמים, צדיק בכל הדורות, האל הנאמן, האומר ועושה, המדבר ומקיים, שכל דבריו אמת וצדק. נאמן אתה הוא אדוני אלוהינו, ונאמנים דבריך, ודבר אחד מדבריך אחור לא ישוב ריקם, כי על מלך נאמן ורחמן אתה, ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הנאמן בכל דבריו.
אמן.
רחם על ציון כי בית חיינו, ולעלוב הנפש תושיע, במהרה בימינו, ברוך אתה אדוני, משמח ציון בבניה.
אמן.
שמחנו אדוני אלוהינו, באליהו הנביא עבדך, ומלכות בית דוד משיחך, במהרה יבוא ויגל ליבנו, על כיסא לא ישב זר, ולא ינחלו עוד אחרים את כבודו, כי בשם קודשך נשבעת לו, שולח בנרו לעולם ועד, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן דוד.
אמן.
על התורה ועל עבודה ועל הנביאים ועל יום השבת הזה שנתת לנו אדוני אלוהינו לקדושה ולמנוחה, לכבוד ולתפארת. על הכל אדוני אלוהינו אנחנו מודים לך ומברכים אותך, יתברך שמך בפיקוח תמיד לעולם ועד, ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת.
Amen. Yasher Koach Eliana. We will, give me a second. Oh, Jackie, you were leading Torah service. Yeah. Jackie will continue for us on page 177. Nope. 176. And close to page 146 or page 412 in the other Sidurim, page 176. Yep.
Birkan min Shemaya. וכל מי שעוסקים בצורכי ציבור ובבניין הארץ
Yisrael b'munah hakadosh baruch hu yishalem sacharam v'yasir mehem kol machala v'yirb hakol lechol hagvufim v'yislach lecho avonim v'yishlach bracha v'hatzlacha b'chol v'asei yadehem im kol Yisrael achehem v'achayotehem v'nomar
Amen. A prayer for our country. I believe Carl will read for us on page 177 or page 148 or page 414. You get the main mic.
Okay, we're going to mix things up a little and use the alternative language that's in the leftmost column here of the Siddur.
All right.
Our God and God of our ancestors, grant to our country the will and wherewithal to fulfill its calling to justice, liberty, and equality. May each of us fulfill our responsibilities of citizenship with care, generosity, and gratitude, ever conscious of the extraordinary blessing of freedom, ever mindful of our duties to one another. Bless those who volunteer to labor on behalf of us all. May they find the strength and courage to complete their tasks and fulfill their dreams. May our judges, elected leaders, and all who hold public office exercise their responsibilities with wisdom, fairness, and justice for all. Fill them with love and kindness, and bless them that they may walk with integrity on the paths of peace and righteousness. Creator and protector of all, watch over our armed forces and all those entrusted with our safety as they daily put their lives at risk to protect us and our freedoms. Be with them in times of danger. Give them courage to act with honor and dignity, as well as insight to do what is right in your eyes. Fill us all with the gifts of love and courage, that we may create a world that reflects your glory. May we each respond to the charge of your prophet. For what does Adonai demand of you, but to act justly, to love kindness, and to walk humbly with your God? May the one who brings peace on high bring peace and prosperity to our world and keep us in safety. And let us say, Amen.
A prayer for the state of Israel. Anybody pick that one up? Okay. I will lead a prayer for the state of Israel. Avinu Shabashamayim, Sur Yisrael v'goalo, Barech Emeninat Yisrael, Reishit Smichat Gilatenu, Hagen Aleha be'evrat Chastecha, Ufros Aleha Sukat Shlomecha, Ushlach Orcha v'mitcha l'rasheha, Sareha v'yotzeha, V'taknem beitzat tova milfanecha, Chazek et idei migne eretz kodshenu, V'hanchilem Eloheinu Yeshua, V'ateret nitzachon ta'atrem, V'natata shalom ba'aretz, V'simchat olam liyoshveha, V'nomar Amen. You may be seated if you are standing, page 181, page 151, or page 420 for Ashrei.
Ashrei Yoshvei Beitecha Ori Hallelujah Ori Hallelujah Selah. Tehillah Adonai Yedaber Pi Vivarech Chol Basar Shem Kodsho Le'olam Va'ed V'anachnu Nevarech Ya Me'ata Le'ad Olam. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Yahalu et Shem Adonai ki nisgav Shemo levado Odo aleretz v'shamayim Vayarem kerem li'amo Teila lechol chasidam Livnei Yisrael am kerovo Hallelujah, hallelujah Mizmor leDavid Havul Adonai b'nei Eli Havul Adonai kavod vos Havul Adonai kevod shemo Yishrach Havul Adonai bechagrat kodesh Adonai alamayim el hakavod hirim Adonai alamayim rabim Kol Adonai ba'koach Kol Adonai behadar Kol Adonai shover arazim Yishaber Adonai et arzel vanon Verhitem kemo egel levanon v'sirion kemo v'nreimim Kol Adonai kotef lavotesh Kol Adonai yachil midbar Yachil Adonai midbar kadesh Kol Adonai yachol elayalo Mechasof yarod v'hechalo kulo omer kavod Adonai lamahu yasha Yeshav Adonai melech leolam Adonai oz v'yamo itein Adonai yevarech et amo v'shalom Uvnucho yomar Ki lekach tov natati lachem Torati al tazovu Eitz chaim hi lemachazikim ba v'tomcheha Meushar deracheha darchenoam v'chol netivoteha shalom hashivenu Adonai elecha v'nashuva chazish yameinu kekedem.
In a moment, I'm going to have, actually, can someone help pass out these sheets? Joey, you wanna? Maybe you and Stevie? What if you already printed it? And you brought it with you? That is very impressive. Once every 15 months. So if you are not in shul and getting a page handed to you, it was in the bulletin and hopefully you have it in front of you. Or if you are not Michael Becker and didn't print it and bring it to shul with you, which is really the most impressive. So I wanted to focus on a part of this parsha that I've never really focused on before. The part of this parsha that you all know very well is what we call Korach's rebellion, and that he gets swallowed up by the ground. And that is a very impressive and very important part of the parsha. There is no doubt. But one piece of this parsha really stood out to me. And I feel like I made this joke to Rabbi Kligfeld yesterday. I feel like we've really been talking about Korach for like 3 weeks at this point, because we talked about it at the gala. Every gala speaker talked about Korach. And then all week we also talked about Korach. And so by the time I got to today, I'm kind of done with Korach. So this part of Korach was just an aspect of the Parsha that I think we just gloss over because it's not the most dramatic piece of it. So before we get to that part of the Parsha, I want to actually bring us back to a different part in our Torah. And if you don't have the sheet in front of you, if you're on Zoom or on live stream, I'm going to tell you where these pieces are found, and you can look them up in a Chumash or just listen to my voice. But there's a midrash that, again, you've probably all heard of, but maybe not connected it to this piece of Korach, which would make sense because it has nothing to do with Korach, that is found from a part of Exodus in Shemot, chapter 30, verse 17 through 20. And it says here, Adonai spoke to Moses saying, make a laver of copper and a stand of copper for it for washing, and place it between the tent of meeting and the altar. Put water in it and let Aaron and his sons wash their hands and feet. When they enter the tent of meeting, they shall wash with water that they may not die. Or when they approach the altar to serve, to turn into smoke an offering by fire to God. It then says later on, as part of this same narrative, so to speak, in chapter 38 of Exodus, verse 8, he made the laver of copper and its stand of copper from the mirrors of the women who performed tasks at the entrance of the tent of meeting. Just by a show of hands, who's heard this line and therefore the midrash that follows before? Okay, wonderful. Sandy Fields, you also have, because your daughter was the one who taught it to me. So I promise you've heard it. So here is the Rashi on this verse here, chapter 38, verse 8, which again becomes a very famous midrash, specifically when understanding the Israelite women's role in post-Exodus and tabernacle, tent of meeting into the promised land culture. The Israelite women possessed mirrors of copper, which they used to look when they adorned themselves, right? Just like we do today. You stand in front of a mirror and you put on your makeup or your clothes or your necklace or whatever. The fact that I can't think of things makes it sound like I don't do this. I also do this. But we use mirrors just like the women did back in those days to make sure they know what they look like and when they're adorning themselves. Even these, they did not hesitate to bring as a contribution towards the tabernacle. Now, you might think to yourself, why bring a mirror? Right? If you're going to bring anything out of your home to give as a gift for the tabernacle, why would it be a mirror? Doesn't that seem a little bit vain, but also maybe unimportant, right? You don't come to the tabernacle to see yourself, so why need a mirror? Moses was about to reject them, the mirrors, since they were made to pander to their vanity. But the Holy One said to Moses, accept them. These are dearer to me than all other contributions, because through them, the women reared those huge hosts in Egypt. Okay, what does that mean? For when their husbands were tired through their crushing labor, they used to bring them food and drink and induce them to eat. Then they would take the mirrors and each gaze at herself in her mirror together with her husband, saying endearingly to him, see, I am handsomer than you, kind of teasing one another. Thus, they awakened their partner's affection and subsequently became the mothers of many children. And it was for this reason that the laver was made of them, the mirrors, because it served the purpose of promoting peace between a partner and their partner. Okay, so what we're talking about here is a piece of the tabernacle that was brought that you might not think would be brought, because why? Why have a mirror in the tabernacle? This midrash that Rashi is explaining as a commentary seems to make it into a very important part of the history of the people, because they would come to the tabernacle, they would coax their husbands in this particular case, though the reason I'm using partner is because I think that this can be done for anybody and any type of relationship. They brought their partner away from the work they were doing and said, why don't we spend some time together? And what that resulted in, Rashi is saying, is many children, right? That the people were able to then become a large nation because the women took them away from their work and had children with them. So the mirrors were actually extremely important so that the community could grow. And then the tabernacle could be used, right? That's the other reason this midrash works, is because if it weren't for the children or for many generations, then what's the tabernacle for? Why bring people into the tabernacle at all? So before I move on, I would love to know if you can already think of a connection, and maybe you cheated and that's okay, but what the connection between this piece from Shemot might be to the story of Korach. Does anybody have any thoughts? And if you cheated, you can just say, I cheated and I know. You a little bit cheated. Okay. What? Okay, great.
It's about like bad things, good things and not good things.
Good things and not good things. That's what Jackie said. It made more sense in her head, she said. Well, tell me a little bit more. Maybe I'll help you make it make more sense.
There was hard labor, bad things.
Right.
Here are good things.
Uh-huh.
And then the good thing gets used.
Gotcha. Okay, great. That makes a lot of sense. And yes, that is connected to what we're going to see in a second. So what Jackie said was hard labor could equal bad thing or just challenging thing. And therefore the story of Korach could equal bad behavior, but something good came out of it. Is that kind of what you're saying? Great. Was there a hand over here? No? Yeah, Denise, so good to see you. Okay, great. Great. I'm going to keep repeating for you, by the way, just so they can hear you. So keep talking. Beautiful. So what Denise, I'm going to paraphrase, but what Denise said was that part of the reason that the redemption happened for our people was in honor of these women who even thought to have a relationship with their husbands to create that community that came after them in the next generation. Beautiful. It is, she wants everyone to know that it is not her saying it, though I heard it from her mouth. But yes, the rabbis do say that. Anyone else? Any other thoughts, connections? Yeah, Larry. Is in the Haggadah. Yes. Right. So Larry's reminding us that this piece, this idea of what the women were doing is also mentioned in our Haggadah for Pesach. Beautiful. Leah, was that a hand? Okay. It could have been. You have a beautiful Torah to share. Okay, so I'm going to reveal how I think it's connected. So if you turn to the second page, or if you turn to a Chumash, we're in Numbers chapter 16, starting at verse 6, though we're going to go through quite a bit of the Parsha here. And similar to what Jackie said and the midrash that Denise shared, we're going to see that there was this element of something that was challenging that then provided something beautiful. It's a little bit harder for us to recognize that in the story of Korach, because as I started off by saying, we focus on the really challenging part of the Korach story and how really insensitive it was that Korach thought to go up against Moshe and Aaron. By the way, we believe them to actually have been cousins. So, which everyone was cousins, but they were cousins. And to go up against your family also, we could have a whole other conversation about that and how much more hurtful it is if you go up against your family than other people in your community. So Bamidbar, chapter 16, verse 6. I'm going to just share snippets. So it's not going to all be one right after the other, but this is verses 6 through 7. Do this, Zot Asu, this you shall do. You, Korach, and all your band take fire pans Just remember, we're going to be talking about fire pans. Okay. So the thing that you would put incense in or collect the ashes of the incense in, and tomorrow put fire in them and lay incense on them before God. Then the person who the Lord chooses, he shall be the Holy One. You have gone too far, sons of Levi. So if you look back in the story, this is the point where where Korach has gone up to Moshe and Aaron and said, what do you do? And I'm going to go up against you. Moshe says then what just happened, what I just read. Then we're going to jump now about 10 verses to verse 17. Each of you take his fire pan and lay incense on it, and each of you bring his fire pan before the Lord, 250 fire pans. You and Aaron also bring your fire pans. Each of them took his fire pan, put fire in it, laid incense on it, and took his place at the entrance of the tent of meeting, as did Moshe and Aaron. Now, chapter 17, verse 2 says, order Eleazar, son of Aharon, the priest, to remove the fire pans, for they have become sacred. They've become sacred. All of a sudden, this thing that's being used that we're going to see in a moment is not necessarily for sacred use, similar to Aaron's sons who die because of an unknown fire. So too, that's happening to Korach and his people. From among the charred remains and scatter the coals abroad. Rashi says it is the fire pans that have become sacred. They had turned them into service vessels, meaning they could no longer be used for any other purpose. Remember that when we go to the next piece. We're still in chapter 17, just the next verse, verse 3. Remove the fire pans of those who have sinned at the cost of their lives, and let them be made into hammered sheets as plating for the altar. So this is the part that made me think of the mirrors, because again, here is this moment where the mirrors might have been seen back in Shemot, not necessarily as something bad, but definitely something taking away from what the tabernacle was for. And in this case, something that was seen as profane is now being made into holy, and not only being made into holy, but being put as hi Jennifer Lowe, being put as kind of a plating. I don't know what other word to use. A covering, building. Thank you. All of those words. Architectural design for the tent of meeting. For once, I'm now back in the Torah. For once they have been used for offering to the Lord, they have become sacred. And let them serve as a warning to the people of Israel. Remember, because they were used for something not good, now they are going to be on the tent of meeting as a reminder for what had happened. Eleazar, the priest, took the copper fire pans, which had been used for offering by those who died in the fire, and they were hammered into plating for the altar. As God had ordered him through Moshe, it was to be a reminder to the Israelites, so that no outsider, one not of Aaron's offspring, should presume to offer incense before the Lord and suffer the fate of Korach and his band. Whenever I read band, I assume that they all, like minstrels with guitars, but what we mean is Korach and his people. Okay. So that's what happens when your father's a musician. What is the connection here? What are we seeing is happening here with these copper fire pans? Yeah, Carl.
Well, the interesting connection to me is that in both cases, you can take something that was maybe not so appropriate or good,
Right.
and transform it into something that is good, sacred, uplifting.
Beautiful. So Rabbi Shapiro and I were actually talking about this particular connection, and he said exactly that same thing, that you can take something that is seen as not good, or maybe reminds you of something that was not favorable, and then you turn it into something that actually is favorable or has a positive reminder for you, or somehow you make it into something positive. Nick, did you have your hand up? No? Any other thoughts? Yes. Very good. Beautiful. So what Carl said was that actually takes some hammering, right? I had not picked up on that as the artistry here, but yes, it takes somehow changing it. It can't just be this thing. reminds us or is something profane, and now we're going to make it holy, you have to change it in some way to make it holy. I hadn't thought of this until right this second. It's almost like when you fix a Torah, that if you are fixing a Torah, has anybody ever seen a sofer fix a letter in a Torah? Yeah, okay. So and we've done it with some of the Torahs that I'm staring at right now. When there's a letter in the Torah that is somehow pasul, somehow has made the entire Torah, in fact, unreadable. It's broken, it's not the right letter, whatever the case may be. The sofer goes in, scrapes it out, and then rewrites it. But you can often tell where that change has been made, because sometimes it's not the same sofer, or it's definitely not the same ink because it's years later. And so it's a different kind of hammering, but you are turning something that has now been unusable into something beautiful and usable just with a very small change. That entire Torah now can be read and can be used. Stevie.
Yeah, just to add to that, to point out the wordplay in number 17:2 here.
Yeah.
Right. That's the Ray Hala Kadeshu.
Great.
Right. That if you just change the vowel slightly, it's saying H Zara, right? The foreign fire that got Nadav and Abihu killed, right? Right. So you're scattering the coals is what it means. Scatter the coals because these fire pans have become sacred, but it's saying that you've plucked out some holiness from this forbidden thing.
Beautiful. So Stevie did a wonderful word play on the Hebrew at the end here. Ve'et ha'esh zareh hal'a ki kadeshu. Yeah, kadeshu. And what he was saying is that I'm not going to do it as well as you just did, that you can take what might originally sound as Eish Zara, which is what killed Nadav and Avihu, but you realize that you're actually, he used the word plucking, which I really liked, plucking something out of it to notice its sanctity, to notice that which is kadosh. Did I miss anything that was really important in what you said? Okay. You said it much more beautifully. Yeah, Rabbi Chorny.
I think that there's an element of assuming best intentions.
Assuming best intentions.
That the people who are rising up with Korah have necessarily ill intent. They are under the sway of a demigod. They're being led into folly. But they are genuinely intending to give an offering to God. They are genuinely wanting to demonstrate that they are worthy to do this thing. And so while there are consequences for doing the wrong thing, the best intentions are held and absorbed into body politics. So there are people, for example, in this country today who genuinely believe the big lie that the election was stolen. And it's not that they want to just own the lid or they want to be contrarian. They genuinely believe that something went wrong in the system. And in order to move forward, there will have to be consequences, but we'll have to find a way to integrate their best intentions into the system.
Beautiful. So I would go as far as to say is those best intentions that are ingrained in their action, even though we might see it as something that is the people who do not believe in what they're acting out to do under Korach's reign, that maybe that is what then comes out of those fire pans to be the kadosh. Maybe now all of a sudden we can see that those good intentions that we couldn't see before because of the way that they were acting, that we didn't understand because we were on the opposite side or we did not agree with them. And therefore that kedusha, that holiness is what gets to come out when they're hammered together to be put onto the tent of meeting. Tova. Beautiful. Beautiful. That there needs to be that partnership between us doing that as well as a community member for that closeness to God, as well as the connection that we then have when we go into that tent of meeting and surrounded by that holiness for God. Yes, Nick, and then we'll go to our final commentary.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that we're looking at these metals, which in the ancient world were hard to come by.
Yeah.
They were hard to mine, they were hard to refine. When you go to Rome, like you'll see once ancient ruins, you'll see where there was once gold, silver, and metal, and it's stripped off and melted down with weapons.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's interesting that it's like this on one like hand, it's sad because you don't know where that metal came from.
Sure.
And the history of it, like we sort of see in sort of commemorating the women and their viewers, and commemorating this moment of the rebellion, not necessarily the rebellion itself, but like
Yeah.
the object itself. But it's interesting because it seems to me that it's also political. Because what could it have meant if you were to take this metal and melt it down and turn it into weapons? What would that mean to the people who maybe felt an attachment to this metal?
Interesting.
So I think like God and God's wisdom was like, we need to take this metal and melt it down and have it be part of it.
Beautiful.
Not let it be weaponized literally in this way and have it serve us as a reminder.
Yeah.
Because ultimately it's this moment of disunity, right? So it's like you cannot sort of literally put the weapons in.
So Nick was mentioning that the metals could have, we don't know where they came from, that they were hard to come by. And then it's possible that those were the metals that were also used as part of the rebellion as weapons. And so what he was claiming, drashing on really, was that maybe these metals were hammered into something that could be holy and that could be adorned to the tent of meeting, so that we did remember that which was happening. I might have added that, so that we could remember that which was happening, but also so that instead of weaponry being that which reminded us of what had happened to our people, really by our people, that it was something that was then bringing holiness, that was bringing some adornment, that was bringing beauty. And so too, I think if you look at the Midrash and you see it as, and Nick did not say this, these are now my words, but if you think about the Midrash as something that could have been seen as just vanity, then that too could have been seen as a type of weapon, right? That would have brought the men away from their responsibility, their avodah towards God and towards the tabernacle. And yet God was the one who said, no, look at this beauty because it's bringing you all together. Okay, we're going to look at one final commentary. I know I gave you many more as per usual than we're going to get to. But I want to read, I might read two. Okay. I might read two. Thank you. Jackie just reminded me I'm in charge. Okay. So if you go back to the first page of your source sheet, this is from Brachot 54a. And this piece of Brachot has nothing to do with either the Midrash nor this piece from Korach. It doesn't comment on either of those two pieces, but it does talk about, well, I'll read it. The Mishnah articulates a general principle. One is obligated to recite a blessing for the bad that befalls him, just as he recites a blessing for the good that befalls him. As it is stated, and you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your might, that comes from our Ve'ahavta. The Mishnah explains this verse as follows. With all your heart means with your two inclinations, with your good inclination and your evil inclination. Your Yetzer Hara and your Yetzer Hatov, both of which must be subjugated to the love of God. With all your soul means even if God takes your soul, and with all your might means with all your money, as money is referred to in the Bible as might. I'm going to set that one aside for a second. It has nothing to do with what we're talking about. Alternatively, it may be explained that with all your might means with every measure that God gives to you or measures out for you, whether it is good or troublesome, you should thank God. The reason I brought this is because I believe inherent in both of these stories is the good inclination and the bad inclination, very much so like what Rabbi Chorny said, which was that it might have been the inclination of the people to do something good, and it just came across to us as bad or not good. And yet both are needed when we say with all of ourselves. And therefore, I think for the tabernacle, for a whole person to come into it, there need to be reminders of that which is of the quote, evil inclination or bad side of things and the good inclination and the wonderful sides of things. The last thing I'm going to read is from Rabbi Abraham Isaac Cook, and he taught that the holiness of the fire pans symbolizes the necessary role played by skeptics and agnostics in keeping religion honest and healthy. Coming from Rabbi Abraham Isaac Cook. Challenges to tradition, he taught, are necessary. Plating the altar with the fire pans of the rebels is meant to remind us of the legitimacy, indeed the potential holiness, of the impulse within each of us to rebel against the stagnation and complacency that can infect religion. Larry liked that. I hope that we are each able to walk into our sanctuaries, not just this Gansberg sanctuary, but any place that we make into a sanctuary, and that we're able to recognize how we bring all of ourselves, that which is potentially something that is not good from our past that makes us stronger, or something that allows us to be the whole person who we are with both that Yetzer Hara and the Yetzer HaTov. Because as God instructed us, we needed to build our sanctuaries with both of those elements literally on the outside, welcoming us into those sanctuaries. And just as Abraham Isaac Cook said, I think that instead of walking away from those challenges and for the things that might make us shy away from problems or worry that we have when we walk into our sanctuaries, that instead we go towards them, and instead we remember them, and instead we try to allow them to make us grow and to make us a holier people. Shabbat Shalom. We will continue now with Musaf on page 184, 155, or 428. And if you're able to do so, please rise. Yitkada veyitkada shemei Rabba ve'alma divrach irtei ve'amlich malchutei bechayechon v'yomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael Bagala, bagala, uvizman kari veimeru, amen. Yehi shmei Rabba mevorach, leolam olam mehamaya yitbach. Yitzbach, v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar, v'yitramam, v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar, v'yitale, v'yitala, shemei dekudesha b'rechu, le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran ve'alma v'yimeru, amen. We'll do a Heichi Kedusha, so I will begin and then ask you to join with me for the Kedusha on page 187. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avoteinu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim v'Konei Hakol v'Zocher Chastei Avot Umevi Goel Livnei v'Neihem Leman Shemo Be'ahava Melech Chozer u'Moshiach u'Magen Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham u'Foked Sarah Atah Gibor le'lam Adonai Mechayei Meitim atah Rav leHoshia Mechakel leChayim bechesed Mechayei Meitim berachamim rabim Somech noflim ve'rofech cholim U'matir asurim Umekayem emunato lishenei afar michamocha ba'al gevurot umidom elav מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות מתים. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי המתים. נעריצך ונקדישך כסוציח שרפי קודש, המקדישים שמך בקודש, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה אל זה ואמר ינאי נאי נאי ינאי נאי נאי ינאי נאי ינאי Nay 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 nay. Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzvaot, Melech Laaretz, Kevodo, Kevodo, Male Olam, Meshartav, Shoalim, Zelazeh, Aye, Mekom, Kevodo, Lehumatam, Baruch Yameru, Yainanai, Yananai, Yananai, Yanai, Nanai, Nanai, Yananai, Yanai, Baruch Adonai mimakomo hu yifen berachamim veyachonam hamayachadim shemo erev avoker bechol yom tamid Pa'amayim be'ahava Shema omrim Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Hu Eloheinu Hu Avinu Hu Malkeinu Hu Mashiach ובדברי קודשך כתוב לאמור. ימלוך העולם אלוהיך ציון לדור ודור, הללויה. לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, לנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש, ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד, כי על מלך קדוש וקדוש אתה, ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. you've not yet finished your Amidah, please continue at your own pace. Kaddish Shalem can be found on page 203, page 181, or page 506. יתכדה וקדש שמי רבה, בהמה דברך יוטה וימליך מלכותי בחייכון וימכון חיי לכל בית ישראל, ועגלה בזמן קריב ויאמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם עולם מהומיה יתברך. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם וינשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי לקודשה בריחו לילה מן כה ברכתה ושירתה תשבחתה ונחמתה דאמירן בעלמא ויאמרו אמן. תתקבל צוד ההון ובתהון דכל ישראל קדם ובהון דבי שמיא ויאמרו אמן. יהי שלום שמיא וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו Amen. Enke Eloheinu, Enke Adonenu, Enke Malkeinu, Enke Moshienu, Micha Eloheinu, Micha Adonenu, Micha Malkeinu, Micha Moshienu, Nodel Eloheinu, Nodel Adonenu, Nodel Malkeinu, Nodel Moshienu, Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu, Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu, Atahu Shiktiru, Avotenu, Lefanecha Ketoret Asamim, Yanai, Nai, 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 Yanai, Yanai, Nai, Yanai, Nai, 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 Nai. Aleinu leshabeach ladon hakol latet gedula leotzer bereshit shelo asanu kegoy ha'aratzot velo samanu kemishpachot ha'adama shelo samechalkenu kahem vegor aleinu kechol hamonam v'anachnu korim ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ ומשה ויקרא בשמיים וימלא ככתוב בתורתך אדוני ימלך לעולם ועד ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. Mourner's Kaddish, page 207, page 184, or page 512. Yit gadal ve'yit kadash shemei rabba be'alma divra chirute ve'amlich malchute b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chaye d'chol beit Israel ba'agala u'vizman kari ve'imru amen. Yehi shemei rabba mevarach le'olam lamei almaya. Yit barach ve'yishtabach ve'yit pa'ar ve'yit romam ve'yit naseh ve'yit hadar ve'yit aleh ve'yit halal shemei d'kudesha b'richum le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma ve'imru amen. Yehi shalom rab amin shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Israel ve'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Israel ve'imru amen. Yashar koach to Joey for leading us in Shachari, to Jackie for leading us in Torah service. Also, can you hand me the Kiddush? To Leah for a beautiful Torah reading. To Eric for a beautiful Gabayin, and Josh for a beautiful Aliyah. To Eliana for beautiful Haftarah. And are you leaving for camp this week? Well, have a great time. And I hope you come back ready to lead more things. Okay, great. No, it was gross. Did anybody else do stuff I didn't mention? Thank you all for participating, because you all had aliyot or things that you did. So thank you for participating. Next week, There is not a sanctuary service, if my memory serves me correctly. There is library minyan on the roof, and there will be Beitenu on the field. So if you are interested, hopefully it'll be cool. The weather says it won't be, but I'm going to say that it will be, and maybe that will happen. But we'll be under a tent. So Beitenu will be beginning at 9:30, I believe, which will be different for Beitenu. So probably I will begin at 9:30, and Beitenu will show up at 9:45 probably. And library I believe will begin as usual at 9:45. Tonight, Rachel Cohn, our intern, will be doing the teaching. I will be doing the davening at 7:50 p.m. And I don't believe there are many other announcements to make. Can anybody think of anything that I should be saying? No? Okay. Lovely to, actually one important thing. It's not actually, I can't give you details because I don't know them yet, but we just had a reopening meeting. And as you all know, June 15th is becoming this new grand date in our calendar. And so we will have announcements for the community on how things may or may not change in the different spaces that we are davening in. So just look for those updates and notifications. One of the things that most likely will be changing, Jennifer, you can tell me if I'm wrong, is that you will not need to register for services coming soon. Larry's clapping. So just know that a few changes will be happening, but we hope that you will continue coming to us, whether online or in person, even with those changes in place. We are going to do Kiddush, and then I will sing you out to Adon Olam. I know that's out of order, but we're going to do it that way. So if you're able to do so, please rise. If you want to follow along, it's on page 77 or 315 or 734. Veshamru b'nei Yisrael tashabat lesot tashabat ledor tam berit olam ben yuvim b'nei Yisrael tilei olam kishesh yamim asat Adonai et shamayim ve'et haaretz v'yom hashvi'i shavat v'yinafash zachor et yom hashabat lekodesho sheishet yamim tava v'asita kol melachtecha ve'yom hashvi'i shabat l'Adonai Elohecha lo taseh chol melacha ata uvincha uvitecha avdecha ve'matcha uvimtecha ve'gercha asher b'sharecha ki sheishet yamim asat Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz et hayam ve'et וכל אשר בם וינח ביום השביעי על כן ברך אדוני את יום השבת ויקדשהו סברי ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם בורא פרי הגפן. Adon Olam, if you want to follow along or if you just want to put your talis away, is on page 211 or 187 or page 514. Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yetzir nivra le'yenasa b'chefso kol hazai melech shemo nikra ve'acharem Hakol levado yimloch nora vehu haya vehu hove vehu yeh betifara vehu echad ve'ein sheni le'am Beli Reshit, Beli Tachlit, Velo Haoz, Vehamisra, Vehu Eli, Vechai Goali, Vetzur Chevli, Ve'etzara, Vehu Nisi, Umanosli, Menat Kosi, Beyom Ekra, Ve'yado, Hafkid Ruchi, Ve'etishan, Ve'ahira, Ve'imruchi, Geviati, Adonai, and just a special shout out to Rabbi Joel Rembam, because I love giving him a shout out and having him in services with us. So I just want to say Shabbat Shalom to you, Rabbi Joel Rembam. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Have a great week, and we will see you soon. Hi, Carl. So delightful to have you here.